The Mexican government confiscates approximately 30,000 illegal firearms per year. When the guns are taken, they get dismantled and the metal is used to make other types of weapons that will later be utilized by their military. In 2012, Pedro Reyes, an artist from Mexico City, convinced his government to donate the guns to him, and he turned them into musical instruments. So somewhere there's a tambourine, a drum set, a guitar, all made out of things that were used to take people's lives, but now they create a sound that puts life back into people's bodies, which is to say, a weapon will always be a weapon, but we choose how we fight the war. And from this I learned that even the most destructive instruments can still create a melody worth dancing to, and sometimes don't we also call that a battle? I wonder how long it took to convince the first rifle that it can hold a note instead of a bullet, but still fire into a crowd and make everyone move. When I was six, I was taught how to throw a punch. In the 80s, that was the anti-bullying movement. The first time one of my classmates took a yo mama joke a little too far, I remembered my training, so I turned his nose into a fountain, my fist 5 pennies, I closed my eyes, made a wish, I came home with bloody knuckles, and it was the first piece of artwork my family hung on the fridge. I remember staring at my hands the same way you stare at a midterm when all your answers are correct. I didn't know what class this was, but I did know I was passing, and isn't that what masculinity has become? A bunch of dudes afraid of their own feelings, terrified of any emotion other than anger, constantly yelling at the shadows on the wall, but still haven't realized that we're the ones standing in front of the light. We learn how to dodge a jab. We learn how to step in before we swing. We learn the heart is the same size as the fist, but we keep forgetting they don't have the same functions. We keep telling each other to man the fuck up when we don't know what the fuck that even means. We turn our boys into bayonets. We point them in the wrong direction. We pull their triggers, and then we just ignore all the damage they're doing in the distance. The word repurpose, it means to take an object and give it amnesia. It means to make something forget what it's been trained to do so you can use it for a better reason. I am learning that this body is not a shotgun. I am learning that this body is not a pistol. I am learning that a man is not defined by what he can destroy. I am learning that a person who only knows how to fight can only communicate in violence, and that shouldn't be anyone's first language. I'm learning the difference between a garden and a graveyard is only what you choose to put in the ground. You see, once I came across a picture of a strange looking violin. The caption said that it was made out of a rifle. I thought to myself, that someday that could be me. A few things I strongly believe. I believe sour apple flavored anything is delicious. I believe orange juice tastes better with pulp. I believe Cinnabon is made by angels. I like Arizona iced tea, but 24 ounces of anything for $1 is probably poison. For real. I believe masculinity is a wet fish that most men are just trying to hold on to. And smiling before a fight is the quickest way to make your opponent nervous. I believe music is easier to digest than medicine. I believe a good song can turn any room into a church. I believe that Whitney Houston's voice is all the proof I need to know God exists. When I was in the 5th grade, I knew a kid named Javier. He was black, which was confusing. He was an African-American kid who spoke Spanish, loved country music, wore cowboy boots, played jump rope, and had a look on his face that said, I wish a motherfucker would say something. None of us said anything. For show and tell, he brings in his pet chameleon. When he walks in, the eyes of every kid glaze over like the windows to our soul shook hands with the winter for the first time. A girl with box springs in her throat felt the silence was just too heavy for her fingertips to hold on to any longer, drops the quiet like a suitcase full of habits that no one wants to keep and says, "So, what's his name?" He replies, "I call him Rudy." When the class realized that me and the lizard had the same name, they laughed uncontrollably. 20 years later, the irony hits me over the head like an empty Heineken bottle inside of the bar fight that I call my everyday life. I get it. You see, chameleons, they have the ability to paintbrush themselves into whatever will match their surroundings. They do it so often, they probably wouldn't be able to recognize a photograph of their own skin. They think it's far better to be invisible than it is to grind their teeth into "I dare you" and ride their bones like a magic carpet. No steering wheel, no tires, no brakes, no battery, just bravery, just faith in a chest full of "I am not dying today." Courage has never been a chameleon's best attribute, and some days it's not mine either. I was mentored by black men with brown skin who turned yellow at the sight of swollen bellies filled with half their DNA. I was taught that a woman's vagina is just an underground railroad to masculinity, that real men have tunnel vision and treat girls like subway cars, like nothing more than a space to parallel park our genitals, a hole to bury seeds and leave orchards in our rearview mirrors. They say you gotta peel a woman like a tangerine, and your job as a man is to chameleon yourself into her trees by the piece of a fruit, then leave the rats hanging crooked and confused. This is an apology to every woman that I changed colors to get inside of. You see, I still haven't stumbled across the definition of man, but I know that we are hotels that stand a million war stories tall. I know that we carry guitar cases full of phobias, hoping that we can turn fear into our strongest instrument. I know that our hands break things just as frequent as we fix them. And we often forget that sexism is a family heirloom that we've been passing down for generations. As men, it's important that we start asking ourselves, what will the boys learn from us?